Hello everyone to the first lecture of SQL Server. In this lecture, we will learn what is a database and how do we store data in a database. First, what is a database? A database is used to store data in a good manner that we can easily retrieve, delete and update our data. This means that a database is used to store data in a form that we can easily retrieve our data, delete and even update our data. Second, how do we create a database? There are two methods to create a database. First method is to use the query. The query to create a database is create database and the name of our database. For this lecture, we are supposing that the name of our database is employee. And the next question comes, what is the second way? The second way I'll tell you later in this video. And the next question is database, data types. Data types is a form in which we store our data. Here are some of the most important data types. Even there are more data types in SQL Server, but these three are the most important and most frequently used data types. First, integer. The integer data type is used to store whole number and negative numbers. This means that integer data type can hold any whole and negative number. But if we try to insert any decimal number, but it won't be inserted because the integer data type doesn't support the decimal numbers. If you try to store any decimal number, it will just round it off. Second data type is varchar. The varchar data type is used to store variable or string data. The variable data type also required a fixed amount of the maximum character. You have to pass any number like 50 or 10. This number means the maximum characters in this data types is 10. You can't store even 11 characters in this data type. But the good thing is you can define the maximum limit of characters. Third data type is float. This data type is used to store decimal data. And then how data is stored in a database. The data is stored in the form of tables. The query to create a table is create table and the name of table. Let's suppose it's also employee. The name of first field and then its data type. And same for the second, the name of second field and its data type. And so on. You can add as much as records you want. Now let's see this in SQL Server. You can now see we are currently using a system database called master. It is an inbuilt database of SQL Server. You can see here. To create a database, I told you there are two methods. The first method is to write a query, create database employee. If you execute this query and database will be created. But the second way is right click on the database, new database, and then the name of database. Let's suppose it's employee, and then OK. If you do this, also the same result will happen. But let's suppose we are doing it with a query. You can see we have now created our database successfully. But you can see still we are using the system database. And the next question comes, how do we use our employee database? To create our employee database, there are also two types. First is to click on the drop down and choose our employee database. And the second is to write a query, use employee. Employee is the name of our database that we created. Now, if we execute this query, the same result will happen. And the next question comes, how do we create a table? We have learned that how to create a table. There is a query to create a table. And also there is another type to create a table. That is, you can see employee database. And if we expand this database, you can see a folder of tables. If we expand this You can see currently it's empty, but if we right click on the table folder, new table, you can create it manually. Let's suppose the name of first column is ID and its data type is integer, and these things may, and here is written allow nulls. Null means that can the data o- can the data of this column be empty. If we checkbox this, if we tick the checkbox, this means you can enter a null data, but we don't want to enter null data, so we have to remove the. And the second method to create a table is create table employee id, student id, integer, student name, varchar, and now we have to provide the limit. Let's take the limit as 25 characters. It means the student name is more, if the student name is more than 25 characters, it cannot be inserted in our table. And third is, oh wait, we have to do it employee because we are creating employee table. And third is employee salary. And also the data type of salary would be integer. And third is LP, lakh per annum. The lakh per annum data type can also be in decimal. To store data in decimal, there is a data type called float. Now, if we create this table, you can see after refreshing this table, we have created an employee table. Now, to how do we see the data in this table? There is a query to see the data. The query is select asterisk from employee. You can see currently this table doesn't have any data. And next question comes, how do we insert data in this table? To insert data, there is a query insert into the name of table values. And now you can see our table has four columns: employee ID, employee name, employee salary, and lakh per annum. Let's suppose the employee ID is 1. And now employee name. Let's suppose the name of employee is Ashwin. You can see an error here because it is a string data type, and when we insert a string data type in our table, we have to put it in single quotes. Now you can see the error is gone. And the third column is employee salary. Let's suppose the employee salary is 50,000 and the lakh per annum is 6.00. Now you can see there are more records we can enter. So let's take ID 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's change the salary. 17,800. Now we can change the LP, lakh per annum. Now, if we insert all these records, you can see one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 rows has been affected. Now, if we select the table, you can see there are 5 records in this table. And this is how we insert the data in a table. And now suppose you inserted all this data in a table, but now you misclicked. You have to write the name of employee was Ashmit Sharma and you have inserted Ashmit. So how will you update the name? The query to update the name is update the name of our table employee where employee name wait set. Now you can see we have written a query update employee. This employee is an employee table. Update employee set the name of employee Ashmit Sharma where ID is 1. Now if we execute this, you can see one row has been affected. You can see the name of employee is now Ashmit Sharma. And the next question is, what if you don't want to insert the fifth row? You don't want Akshay. The, you can, let's suppose example, Akshay left the company. Now you can't still take this record in your table. Now how do we delete this record? To delete the record, we also have another query, delete from employee where employee ID equals to 1. Now the question is why we always take ID to delete then employee do the operations. Let's suppose you took delete from employee where the employee name is Akshay. Let's suppose there are two Akshay in your company, both with the same name spelling. Now if you write employee name, this query will be in conflict for the table because there if there are two Akshay in a table it will delete the both records. So instead we will take it employee ID because ID is unique and each employee has its unique ID. So let's take ID 5 because the Akshay's ID is 5. Now if we execute this query and select our table, you can see Akshay has been deleted from our table. Now, what if you want to if you only want to see all the data of Ashmit or Ram? To do that, there is a query select static from employee where employee ID equals to 3. I mean 2. Now, if you execute this, you will see the data of only employee 2, which is Ram. You can see every data, all the credentials of Ram. These are the important queries you should learn in an SQL database. In the next video, we will learn about what is primary and unique. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.